Tennis is a global sport. This global sport not only means that there are good tennis players from almost every country in the world, but also that tournaments are now held in many countries. For political or economic reasons, this involves some unexpected risks, and recent events in particular have once again clearly highlighted the difficulties involved. It was actually predictable, but of course, hardly anyone knew exactly when it would happen. The mutual bombings in the Gulf region also posed unexpected challenges for the professionals. The most important thing, first of all, is that, as far as I know, none of the players were harmed. For some, it was certainly a big shock to suddenly find themselves in such an exceptional situation, and of course, that shifts priorities. A victory is nothing compared to the feeling of being in a safe situation. The ATP, WTA, and ITF also had to respond to the situation, and informing players at the Challenger tournament in the Emirates that a special plane would cost $4,000 per person to leave the country was certainly not good publicity for the ATP. As far as I know, solutions were then found, although in such a situation, money becomes secondary for everyone involved. The main thing is to be able to return to one's family. For those of us who have been accustomed to traveling our entire lives, local conditions that should be taken into account but not overemphasized are part of everyday life. I'm sometimes amazed at the various opinions of people who only get the information from various platforms and therefore, of course, do not know the real facts. When I look at these platforms myself, however, I can understand it. Practically no country in the world is safe to travel to with the warnings that are posted there. And, of course, every country on earth now has areas where it is better not to stay. Common sense is simply part of this, as is a willingness to listen to local people. I have been to many countries around the world and have been fortunate enough not to find myself in any dangerous situations so far. Being in the wrong place at the wrong time is an unfortunate coincidence in any country in the world if you don't provoke it. We can only hope that the political situation will return to normal. Everyone wants to live in peace, but unfortunately, there are often overriding interests that cause a great deal of suffering, and those who are actually responsible for these problems often act from a safe distance. My time in Soma Bay flew by once again. My schedule included organizational tasks, training sessions with the pros, and a few hours with amateur players. Being on the court with younger children or near beginners is a new situation for me, and each of these tasks has its own challenges. Especially with younger children, time on the court is not always easy. Their attention span is naturally short, and keeping the little ones focused requires creativity and attention. Mohamed Safwat will soon be traveling with our players to tournaments, and I will then return to hold down the fort in Soma Bay. Most of our players in Vienna were away at tournaments this week. That's why training sessions were a little quieter this week. It's rare enough for our entire coaching team to be in Vienna at the same time, so we tried to use the time to discuss and optimize a few organizational matters, talk about concepts, and hopefully implement them at some point. Thank you for your attention and see you in the next video.